If you drive in the UK and your license was issued more than 9 years ago, what I'm about to tell you could save you a fine of up to £1,000. Right now, millions of photocard licenses across England, Scotland, and Wales are creeping toward their expiry dates, and the DVLA has been quietly rolling out the biggest shakeup to the renewal process in over a decade. Digital ID checks, faster online processing, new rules for drivers over 70, and a consultation that could change how older drivers prove they're fit to drive. Some of these changes are already locked in, others are still being discussed in Parliament. And if you mix the two up, you could end up either panicking over something that isn't law yet, or missing something that genuinely is. So stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's confirmed, what's still proposed, and what you personally need to do before your next renewal. Let's start with the basics, because even this trips people up. If you're between 17 and 69 years old, your photocard driving license is valid for 10 years. That hasn't changed. What has changed is how the DVLA wants you to handle the renewal when that date rolls around. For years, the system leaned heavily on paper forms and post office visits. Now the DVLA is actively pushing everyone toward renewing online, and the gap in speed between the two methods has become impossible to ignore. Renew online, and once your details and photo are verified, you could have your new license sorted within about a week, sometimes faster. Renew by post, and you're looking at up to 3 weeks, sometimes longer if there's a query on your medical details or your name has changed. The post office route sits somewhere in the middle, but it now costs more than applying online. As of this year, renewing online costs £14, applying by post costs £17, and doing it in person at a post office costs £21.50. So, if you've been putting off going digital because the old paper form felt simpler, it's actually now the slower and more expensive option. Here's the part that genuinely is new for a lot of drivers. To renew online, you now need a verified gov.uk1 login. This is the government's digital identity system, and it's becoming the front door to almost every DVLA service, not just license renewal. If you haven't set one up yet, do it before your renewal date creeps up on you, not after. It takes a few minutes, but if your documents don't match up cleanly, the verification can bounce back and forth, and that's exactly the kind of delay you don't want when your license is about to expire. A quick tip here, do this on a laptop or desktop if you can. The photo and document upload steps tend to be smoother than trying to do it all on a phone camera. Now let's talk about what happens if you simply don't renew on time, because the penalties haven't softened, and in some cases, enforcement has actually gotten sharper. Driving with an expired photocard license in the UK can lead to a fine of up to £1,000. That's under the Road Traffic Act, and it applies whether you genuinely forgot, never received a reminder letter, or just assumed you had more time. The DVLA has been clear that not getting a reminder letter is not treated as a valid excuse. It is entirely on you, the driver, to track your own expiry date. And the financial penalty isn't even the part that should worry you most. If you're involved in any kind of accident while your license has expired, your insurance provider can refuse to pay out. That means you could be left covering vehicle damage, third-party claims, even medical costs, entirely out of your own pocket. A £1,000 fine is bad. An uninsured accident claim can be financially devastating. So if there's one single action to take after watching this video, it's this. Go check your license expiry date right now. It's printed in section 4B on the front of your card right under your photo. Let's move to a group of drivers facing a slightly different set of rules and a much bigger amount of confusion online. Anyone approaching the age of 70. Once you turn 70, your license doesn't renew every 10 years anymore. It renews every 3. This renewal is completely free. No £14 fee, no $21.50 post office charge. The DVLA should send you a form roughly 90 days before your 70th birthday to start the process. The core requirement at this renewal is a self-declaration that you still meet the medical standards needed to drive safely, including your eyesight, and you must declare any relevant medical condition that's developed or worsened since your last renewal. Now here's where I want to slow down and be precise, because a lot of headlines this year have made it sound like mandatory eye tests for over 70s are already a confirmed rule. They are not. As things stand right now, the requirement is still self-declaration, the same honesty-based system that's existed for years. What has happened is that the government opened a formal consultation looking at whether drivers aged 70 and above should be required to undergo an actual vision test, administered by an optician or a DVLA-approved process, rather than simply ticking a box to say their eyesight is fine. That consultation closed at the end of March this year, and a decision is still pending. So if you're over 70 or you have a parent approaching that age, the smart move isn't to panic about a rule that doesn't exist yet. It's to simply get into the habit of having your eyesight checked regularly anyway, because if and when this does become mandatory, you'll already be ahead of it. And there's a separate detail worth knowing if you drive larger vehicles. Categories like C1 for medium-sized lorries or D1 for minibuses are not automatically carried over when you renew at 70. If you want to keep those entitlements, you typically need additional medical checks, and in some cases another assessment. Skip that step, and those categories simply drop off your license at renewal, whether you meant for that to happen or not. Let's talk about the bigger structural shift happening behind all of this, which is the move toward digital driving licenses. The DVLA, alongside the wider gov.uk wallet rollout, has been piloting digital licenses, starting with provisional licenses before expanding further. The idea is that eventually you'll be able to pull up a verified version of your license on your phone the same way you might show a boarding pass or a ticket. This is still in a gradual rollout phase. It isn't a full replacement for your physical photo card yet, and your existing plastic card remains completely valid and legally accepted. Don't let anyone tell you that you need to rush out and replace a perfectly valid photo card because digital licenses exist now. What it does mean, though, is that keeping your details accurate inside your gov.uk account is becoming more important than ever, because that account is increasingly the master record the DVLA and other systems will check against. Speaking of keeping your details accurate, this is a quietly important point a lot of drivers overlook. Your responsibility doesn't end the day you renew your license. If you move house, change your name, or develop a medical condition that could affect your driving, you are legally required to update the DVLA, and you should do it promptly. With improved automatic number plate recognition technology now more closely linked to DVLA records, mismatched details such as an old address are far more likely to get flagged than they would have been a few years ago. And failing to report a medical condition that genuinely affects your ability to drive safely isn't just a paperwork issue. It can result in fines, and in serious cases, prosecution, if that condition contributes to an accident. Conditions like sleep apnea or significant vision changes fall squarely into this category. If in doubt, it costs you nothing to check the DVLA's guidance on medical conditions and reporting, and it can protect you from a problem far bigger than a renewal fee. So let's bring this together into a simple action list, because that's really what matters here, not the headlines, but what you personally do next. First, check your photo card expiry date today. It's right there in Section 4B. Second, if you're within 6 months of that date, start your renewal now rather than waiting for a reminder letter that might be delayed or might never arrive. Third, set up your gov.uk1 login in advance if you don't already have one, ideally on a desktop browser, so the renewal itself goes smoothly when the time comes. Fourth, if you or someone in your family is approaching 70, get familiar with the 3-year renewal cycle and keep an eye on whether that eyesight testing consultation turns into an actual confirmed rule, because that's a genuine possibility this year. And fifth, make sure your name, address, and any medical conditions are up to date with the DVLA regardless of where you are in your renewal cycle, because that obligation never really switches off. The bigger picture here is that UK Driving License Administration is shifting from a system built around paper, post, and reminder letters to one built around digital identity and faster verification. That shift brings real convenience, quicker turnaround, fewer trips to the post office, less waiting by the letterbox. But it also puts more of the responsibility directly on you to track your own dates, your own details, and your own documentation, rather than relying on a letter showing up at the right time. The drivers who come out ahead this year aren't the ones who wait to be told what to do. They're the ones who took 10 minutes today to check a date on a card in their wallet. If this video actually helped clear up the confusion around all of this, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button before you go. I'm covering UK driving law, DVLA updates, and motoring rule changes regularly, and subscribing means you won't miss the next one when something else shifts. Because trust me, this isn't the last update coming this year. Drop a comment if you've got a renewal coming up, or if there's a specific DVLA rule you want broken down next. I read every one of them. Thanks for watching, take care on the roads, and I'll see you in the next video.